quiet warmth begins to settle around you, the kind that arrives without hurry, like the first hint of dusk drifting across a distant horizon. It appears softly, as though the evening itself has chosen this moment to rest beside you. There is nothing to do, nowhere to be, only the gentle unfolding of stillness, gradual and unforced, guiding you toward a slower rhythm. With each breath, a subtle spaciousness forms in the air. The body follows it naturally, easing into a calmer pace, the way a mountain stream settles after a long day of movement. A deep sense of ease begins to fill the spaces within you, moving lightly from one place to another, smoothing the edges of any lingering tension. The breath continues, unhurried and steady, like a quiet companion, encouraging you to drift deeper into comfort. Far in the distance, imagine the faint whisper of winds gliding along the ridgelines of the Himalayas. The sound is soft, more of a suggestion than a presence, carrying the serene quality of high, open air. These winds move with a patience known only to mountains, brushing against cliffs, weaving through valleys, flowing in slow, unbroken currents. Their calmness begins to echo through your own breathing, encouraging each inhale to lengthen slightly and each exhale to fall away with greater ease. Clouds drift above those vast peaks, moving almost imperceptibly across the sky. Their motion is steady, smooth, and without intention, a natural drifting, a natural softening. As the clouds cross the quiet expanse of evening, their presence brings a sense of vastness, an openness that gently expands within you. The mind grows quieter in response, as though the clouds have invited it to rest in the same effortless way they glide across the heavens. Allow your awareness to settle into that wide, peaceful landscape, not through effort, but through the gentle pull of tranquility that arises when everything slows down. The inside world begins to mirror the outside, open, calm, and spacious. The day loosens its hold. Thoughts that once moved quickly begin to lose momentum, drifting like light mist along the edges of a mountain pass. Breathing naturally, you begin to sense the transition from daytime energy to evening softness. The shift is subtle, like the way sunlight dims over snow, turning bright edges into quiet silhouettes. This moment is not an ending, but a gentle passage, an invitation to step into a calmer world where the weight of the day dissolves into the cool, serene night. With each steady breath, the body becomes a little heavier, settling into its place. Muscles soften, spaces of tightness loosen. The rhythm of your breath becomes an anchor, steady and comforting, guiding every part of you into deeper quiet. Without trying, you may notice that the chest lifts with a soft, even rise, then falls with a tranquil release. In this rhythm, peace begins to gather. The atmosphere around you continues to soften. It becomes easier to imagine yourself surrounded by the gentle landscapes of the high mountains, the distant winds, the slow-moving clouds, the quiet slopes that stretch endlessly into the sky. All of these images form a peaceful tapestry, subtly weaving themselves into your thoughts. Nothing is urgent here. Everything unfolds in its own soft pace, shaping a calm sanctuary in your mind. As this stillness deepens, the idea of a nighttime journey begins to take form. Not a journey of movement or effort, but one of settling, resting, and being carried by the quiet. It is the kind of journey where each moment drifts naturally into the next, where the world feels vast yet soothing, where time becomes gentle and unhurried. This journey asks nothing of you. It simply offers a path that leads inward toward a state of serenity that has always been waiting beneath the surface of the day. You are guided not by direction, but by ease, each breath opening a new doorway to calm, each exhale releasing something unnecessary into the soft night air. Feel the way this calm gathers around you like a soft blanket woven from silence and breath. There is a sense of being supported, held lightly by the quiet atmosphere of this moment. The world becomes simpler, quieter, more spacious. The mind begins to float, unanchored from the noise of the day, drifting toward a gentler horizon. High above the earth, the Himalayas rest beneath a darkening sky. Winds glide endlessly across their snowy ridges, steady and patient. Clouds continue their unhurried passage, illuminated by the faint glow of a distant moon. These images accompany you, guiding you gently toward deeper stillness. Here, in the soft beginning of this nighttime journey, you are free to settle into peace. Breath by breath, you drift a little further from the world of activity and a little closer to the quiet calm waiting ahead, calm as ancient mountains, soft as drifting clouds, steady as the whispering Himalayan winds. The Call of Everest. There is a moment just before twilight settles over the horizon when the world becomes unusually still. Shapes begin to soften, colors begin their slow transformation, and the air feels as though it is holding something ancient and unspoken. In this delicate window of the day, the presence of Everest begins to rise in the distance, not with force, but with a gentle certainty, an immense silhouette gradually revealing itself in the fading light. Everest does not call out in any obvious way. Its voice is subtle, woven into the quiet breath of the Himalayas, carried by winds that have drifted across the highest points of the earth for longer than memory can hold. There is no urgency, no demand, only the soft suggestion of a mountain that has existed for millions of years, watching the world shift and change beneath it. As you imagine drawing closer, the outline of Everest becomes clearer. It rises with a calm authority, shaped by time rather than intention. There is a steadiness in its form, a strength that does not need to announce itself. The mountain has stood here for roughly 60 million years, born from the slow meeting of colossal tectonic plates. What once lay deep beneath the sea was gradually lifted, pressed upward, sculpted by Earth's quiet forces until it became the highest point on the planet. Even now, Everest continues to grow by mere millimeters each year, an almost imperceptible reminder that the world is always moving, even when it appears still. To the people of the region, this mountain is not merely a peak of rock, ice, and snow. It is Chomolungma, a name that holds profound reverence. Translated into English, it means Goddess Mother of the World, a title offered with respect rather than grandeur. The name carries a sense of nurturing vastness, as though the mountain itself watches over the lands below. Its presence is not harsh or distant, but steady, an ever-present guardian in the fabric of Himalayan life. Spoken softly, the word Chomolungma seems to hold the rhythm of the wind, the patience of stone, and the quiet heartbeat of the surrounding valleys. As the light continues to fade, the atmosphere around Everest deepens into muted shades. The lower slopes dissolve into soft blues and grays, while the upper ridges reflect the final glimmers of day. The height of the mountain, measured at 8,848.86 meters above sea level, feels almost abstract when viewed from afar. It is not the height alone that creates the sense of awe, but the way the mountain meets the sky, as though the horizon has lifted to cradle it. Approaching Everest in the imagination is a gentle process. The world becomes quieter with each step, and the sounds of daily life drift into the distance. The path leads through gradually cooling air, the kind that encourages slow, steady breaths. There is no rush here. The mountain has existed far too long to require haste. It allows you to arrive in your own time, step by soft step, with nothing more than the quiet rhythm of your own movements, guiding the way. The surrounding peaks rise like silent companions, forming a vast and ancient range that stretches across the horizon. They are part of the great Himalayan fold, created from the same slow upward push that gave birth to Everest. These mountains carry their own stories, shaped by glaciers, monsoons, and uncounted seasons. Together they form a landscape that feels both immense and serene, a world where time expands, where moments seem to lengthen, and where the pace of life becomes noticeably gentler. The twilight deepens, casting long shadows over the slopes. You can imagine the pale glow of the upper snows, shining faintly as the sun slips behind distant ridges. The mountain seems to inhale the last echoes of daylight, holding them in a soft luminance before releasing them into the gathering night. This transition is not dramatic. It is simply a quiet unfolding, a natural turning from one state to another. The sky above begins to shift toward deeper hues, blending indigo with the lingering traces of gold. As the mountain rises before you, its presence creates a subtle sense of stillness, not the emptiness of silence, but the fullness of a place untouched by hurry. The air feels calmer, thoughts soften. Even the breath finds a steadier rhythm, drawn into harmony with the vastness of the scene. Everest stands not as a challenge or a conquest, but as something ancient and patient, offering space for quiet reflection without requiring any particular emotion. It simply exists, vast, unmoving, and complete within itself. Drawing closer in your mind, the surface of the mountain becomes more defined. The ridges sharpen into view, the glaciers glisten with faint traces of evening light, and the long slopes stretch outward in smooth, sweeping lines. Yet even in its detail, Everest feels dreamlike, softened by the gentle transitions of dusk. The twilight hour transforms it into something that seems both real and otherworldly, a presence shaped not only by stone and snow, but by the delicate atmosphere surrounding it. The winds around the summit move with a soft persistence. You can imagine them sweeping along icy ledges, circling around the peak, and continuing their quiet journey into the vast Himalayan sky. These winds carry no chill here in your imagination. Instead, they feel light, distant, and soothing, creating a sense of gentle motion that blends seamlessly with the stillness below. In this twilight vision, the mountain's immensity becomes a kind of comfort. Its age, its height, its unchanging presence, all of these qualities contribute to a quiet reassurance. Everest has witnessed countless sunrises and sunsets, storms and seasons, all while remaining steadfast. Standing before it in thought, you may feel the subtle reassurance of something enduring, something that remains calm even as the world shifts around it. As the last traces of daylight fade, Everest becomes a silhouette etched against the sky. Its shape is clear and familiar now, an unmistakable outline rising with quiet dignity. The mountain does not beckon, it simply allows you to sense its presence, steady and ancient, like a gentle call carried through the evening air. And in this soft twilight, as the mountain settles into night, you find yourself drifting with it, toward calmness, toward spaciousness, toward a deeper sense of ease, guided by the quiet, timeless call of Everest. Drifting into the Himalayan night. As twilight settles over the high Himalayas, the Khumbu Valley begins to shift into a quieter, more delicate world. The light changes slowly, as if it is gliding across the landscape rather than falling away. The final moments of day soften into cool shades of violet and blue, touching the stone paths, the distant ridges, and the gentle curves of terraced fields. Everything begins to carry the unhurried calm of evening, a calm that seems to expand with each passing breath. The valley stretches out in long, peaceful lines, framed by silhouettes of mountain walls that rise steadily into the darkening sky. Their shapes are softened by the dimming light, becoming broad, quiet forms that seem to cradle the settlements below. Thin rivers reflect the last traces of daylight, shimmering faintly as they continue their slow descent through the valley floor. These waters have traveled for countless seasons, tracing the same patient route from glacier to village, from mountain to plain. Among these quiet slopes, small Sherpa villages rest in clusters of stone houses and timber beams. From a distance, their presence blends seamlessly into the terrain, as though the land and the homes were shaped by the same steady hands. As dusk deepens, the villages shift into comfortable silence. Smoke from cooking fires fades into the cooling air, carrying faint, earthy scents that drift lazily through open doorways and across narrow paths. The homes are modest, built with care to withstand the altitude and weather of this region. Their windows glow faintly with warm light, soft and steady, never harsh. These small glimmers appear like scattered stars across the valley floor, each one marking a place of shelter and familiarity. The atmosphere feels gentle here, supported by centuries of quiet living, in harmony with the mountains that surround the community. Along the ridges and rooftops, streams of prayer flags stretch from one point to another, catching the evening breeze. Their colors, though faded by sun and wind, still carry a soft vibrancy, blue, white, red, green, and yellow, moving lightly against the sky. As the breeze lifts them, the cloth flutters with a delicate rhythmic motion, creating a quiet dance that mirrors the gentle movement of clouds gathering above the valley. Each flag carries printed prayers that, according to tradition, are released into the wind with every flutter. The effect is subtle and serene, a continuous offering of peace carried outward into the widening night. Walking through this imagined valley, the air becomes cooler, filled with a clarity that feels almost weightless. The high-altitude environment lends a unique quality to each breath, crisp, clean, and slightly thinner than at lower elevations. The body naturally adjusts, settling into a slower, more deliberate rhythm. Breathing becomes a conscious companion to the landscape, soft and measured, as the night opens around you. The Sherpa people, who have lived in these mountains for generations, carry an extraordinary physical relationship with this altitude. Their bodies have adapted in ways that allow them to navigate the thin air with ease that feels almost effortless. This adaptation is quiet, hidden deep within the structure of their blood and lungs. They tend to carry a greater concentration of hemoglobin, allowing oxygen to be transported more efficiently through their bodies. Their breathing remains steady even where others might strain. These traits were shaped gradually, passed down through many lifetimes spent walking these paths, tending to fields, caring for livestock, and guiding travelers through the region. Yet when seen in the softness of evening, none of this appears extraordinary. The Sherpa people move with calm familiarity across the terrain, their footsteps unhurried as they complete the final tasks of the day. Securing animals for the night, gathering tools, speaking in low murmurs that blend into the hushed sounds of dusk. Their presence contributes to the restful atmosphere of the valley, offering a sense of grounding that feels natural and reassuring. The sky above continues its gradual shift. Clouds that were pale gold an hour earlier now take on the muted tones of deepening dusk. Their shapes move slowly, drifting across the horizon with unbroken grace. High in the atmosphere, the wind flows steadily, creating patterns that might be invisible from below, but can be felt in the subtle movement of the air. The entire valley seems to breathe with this rhythm, slow, quiet, and expansive. As the last traces of sunlight withdraw behind distant peaks, a cool blue shade settles across everything. The mountains rise like dark monuments, their edges crisp against the sky. The ridge lines appear to hold the twilight in place for a brief moment before night fully arrives. Darkness here is gentle, arriving without weight. It wraps itself around the land with the softness of evening mist, spreading gradually from the highest ridges to the low, winding paths. Amid this transformation, the first stars appear, tiny points of white scattered across the deepening sky. Their light is steady, unaffected by the thin air, and untouched by the lights of distant cities. Each star feels clear and calm, as though it has always been part of the night above the Khumbu Valley. The sky's simplicity becomes a quiet reminder of the vastness overhead, a presence that encourages the mind to loosen further, drifting just slightly away from its usual patterns. The valley grows more peaceful with each passing moment. The sounds become fewer and softer. The distant call of an evening bird, the faint whisper of wind through grass, the gentle flutter of prayer flags continuing their quiet conversation with the sky. Even the rivers seem to hush, their movement becoming a muted hum as the night embraces their flowing paths. As you continue drifting through this imagined landscape, the sense of calm begins to deepen. The valley, the villages, the mountains, they all seem to merge into a single atmosphere of tranquility. Nothing stands apart. Everything blends into one continuous field of quiet presence. The body responds in harmony with this stillness, allowing tension to dissolve further, letting the breath grow even steadier, even softer. The first subtle cues of deeper relaxation emerge here. A light heaviness settles into the limbs, not pulling downward but grounding gently. Thoughts slow into long, simple shapes, drifting as smoothly as the clouds above. The internal landscape becomes as peaceful as the external one, wide, steady, and uncomplicated. Night spreads itself fully across the valley now. The prayer flags continue their slow dance in the cool mountain breeze, sending out their silent blessings into the darkness. The Sherpa homes glow faintly from within, the light barely visible but comforting in its steadiness. Above it all, the silhouette of Everest, begins to take shape in the distance, its presence quiet and unwavering, watching over the valley as the world eases into rest. Here, within this calm and sacred atmosphere, you find yourself drifting a little deeper into stillness. The Himalayan night embraces the valley with a softness that feels endless, allowing every breath to settle, every thought to loosen, and every moment to stretch into serene openness. The journey continues gently, carried by the quiet beauty of the mountains and the peaceful rhythm of the high-altitude night. A slow ascent through history. As the quiet of the Himalayan night settles around you, the story of Everest drifts into view with the same patience that shapes the mountains themselves. Its history does not rush forward. It unfolds gradually, like the slow lifting of morning mist from a valley floor. Each moment of the mountain's past seems suspended in the thin air, waiting to be discovered with the same soft care one might give to a fragile relic. Long before climbers ever set foot near its slopes, Everest stood unmapped, a distant silhouette known more through legend than measurement. Explorers who glimpsed it from afar spoke of a peak that appeared taller than any surrounding ridge, though its true height remained an unknown mystery. During the 19th century, quiet efforts began to understand the geography of this vast region. Surveyors of the Great Trigonometrical Survey of India traveled with simple instruments and patient steps, moving slowly across plains, forests, and foothills, often far from the mountain itself. These early attempts to map Everest were carried out from remarkable distances. Observers measured angles from lowlands hundreds of kilometers away, calculating elevations through careful, methodical notes. Their work was slow and delicate, built on repeated observations taken under the shifting skies of the Himalayas. Through these distant measurements, a peak emerged, not yet named Everest, but known simply as Peak 15. Even from afar, it stood above every other summit in sight, quietly asserting its place as the highest point on Earth. Among the figures connected to this era of exploration was a man named George Everest. His presence in the mountain's story is a subtle one, woven into the administrative and scientific work of the survey rather than into dramatic adventures. He served as Surveyor General of India and supervised significant portions of the mapping efforts, though he never saw the mountain that would later carry his name. His contribution rested not in climbing, but in shaping the framework of measurement that allowed others to understand the vast geography of the region. The naming of Everest was not an act of grandeur, but rather a quiet decision made by surveyors who wished to honor his role. Over time, Peak 15 gradually adopted the name Everest, even as local communities continued to use their own reverent name, Chomolungma. Both names coexist, one drawn from scientific tradition, the other rooted in the spiritual and cultural life of the Himalayas. As years passed, interest in reaching the summit began to grow, carried not by haste, but by the steady curiosity of explorers. Early expeditions approached the mountain from the Tibetan side, walking through long stretches of barren highland and across cold plateaus, where winds moved in unbroken lines. These attempts were shaped by patience, endurance, and the quiet acceptance that the mountain's vastness often outweighed human ambition. Despite determination, the summit remained untouched for decades. Climbers faced conditions unlike anything they had known: thin air, shifting weather, and the immense scale of the mountain itself. Yet each expedition added its own chapter,
gathering small pieces of knowledge, mapping routes, and learning the rhythms of the unpredictable winds. These early journeys, though unsuccessful in reaching the top, paved the way for what would come later. The quiet persistence of these explorers eventually led to a new chapter in 1953, when two individuals, Tenzing Norgay of Nepal and Edmund Hillary of New Zealand, began their own ascent during an expedition led by John Hunt. Their climb was steady and measured, shaped by careful planning and deep respect for the mountain's conditions. Step by unhurried step, they moved upward, allowing their bodies to adjust to the thinning air, pausing when needed and progressing with deliberate patience. On May 29, 1953, they reached the summit of Everest. In that moment, the highest point on Earth was touched by human presence for the first time. Yet even this historic event carries a sense of calm when viewed through the lens of time. Tenzing and Hillary stood at the summit for only a brief period, taking in the expansive view that stretched from horizon to horizon. Wind flowed gently around them, and the world below spread out in vast, muted colors beneath the morning light. Their achievement was significant, yet its memory feels softened by the serene heights in which it occurred, a quiet mark on a mountain that has existed far longer than any of its visitors. Since that day, many others have followed their path upward, tracing similar steps along ridges, glaciers, and icy slopes. Even with modern equipment and improved knowledge, the ascent remains slow, steady, and deeply affected by the mountain's own rhythms. Everest continues to rise ever so slightly, about 4 millimeters each year, as the tectonic plates beneath it continue their ancient movement. This growth is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet it speaks to the mountain's ongoing evolution, shaped by forces that act over millions of years. Throughout the decades, Everest has inspired countless stories, though its own story remains remarkably unchanged. The winds continue their long journeys across its ridges. Snow settles softly along its slopes each winter, only to shift and reshape with the arrival of spring. Glaciers carve new paths, retreating and advancing with the shifting climate. Through it all, the mountain stands quietly, untouched by the rush of human time. As you drift through these scenes from Everest's past, the pace of the story gradually slows. Each historical moment becomes a gentle step on the path upward, carrying you deeper into a sense of calm. The early surveyors with their instruments, the explorers crossing frozen plateaus, the steady ascent of Tenzing and Hillary, all of these memories unfold like a slow climb through layered histories, each one adding another step, another breath. The rhythm of this ascent mirrors the rhythm of rest, the steady pace of discovery, the unhurried learning, the soft accumulation of understanding. All of it brings the mind into a quieter state. History becomes a gentle landscape, a hillside through which you move with ease, guided by the mountain's patient presence. Everest does not rush through its past. It allows each moment to settle, to linger in the thin air before drifting softly onward. And as you walk through this gentle history, you may feel the subtle invitation to relax more deeply, to let your own pace slow, to follow the long, smooth lines of the story as it rises toward the quiet peaks of memory. Here, in this slow ascent through time, the mountain becomes not just a record of events, but a calm companion, guiding you forward with the soft steadiness of a world shaped by patience. With each imagined step upward, The mind eases further into stillness, carried by the quiet, unbroken flow of Everest's history, soft as old snow, slow as the growth of stone, and soothing as the breath that guides you deeper into rest. Gentle step into the icefall. As the quiet of early morning settles over the Himalayas, the Khumbu Icefall begins to emerge in soft contours. It rests at the foot of Everest like a slow, frozen river, captured in mid-movement. From afar, it appears still, but with closer attention, a different truth unfolds. A truth shaped not by haste, but by the gradual shift of ice that drifts forward at the pace of about 1 meter each day. This movement is steady and quiet, a gentle flow shaped by time rather than intention, like the slow turning of seasons or the peaceful drifting of clouds across an open sky. The icefall stretches out in a long, pale sweep of frozen blue and white, layered in folds that resemble waves caught in suspension. Light touches the surface gently, revealing soft shades of turquoise beneath the upper crust. These colors change subtly with the angle of the sun, deepening near the crevasses and softening along the ridges, creating a serene gradient that seems to breathe with its own calm rhythm. There is no hurry here. The ice holds its pace with the patience of something shaped over ages. As you imagine stepping toward the icefall, the world grows quieter still. The snow beneath your feet absorbs sound, leaving only the faintest crunch with each careful movement. The air feels cool and clean, carrying a sense of spaciousness that stretches from the valley floor to the high walls of ice towering ahead. Everything appears softened by the dim light of early day, as though the landscape itself is easing into wakefulness. The Khumbu Icefall is often described as shifting and unpredictable, but here, in this gentle moment, its features take on a different quality. The crevasses, deep openings in the ice, are softened by distance and light. Instead of chasms, they appear as long, quiet lines of deep blue, like strokes of ink painted carefully across a white canvas. Their shapes flow naturally with the contours of the ice, forming patterns that seem less like fractures and more like part of an intricate design created by nature's slow hand. Alongside these openings rise the seracs, towers and blocks of hardened ice shaped into smooth, vertical forms. In the soft morning light, they resemble sculptures carved by wind and time. Their surfaces shine faintly, reflecting muted glimmers of the sun in gentle flashes that fade almost as quickly as they appear. These towering shapes stand like silent guardians along the frozen river, their presence steady and still, offering a quiet contrast to the fluid movement of the ice beneath them. The deeper you drift into this imagined landscape, the more it feels as though the icefall is inviting you to witness its quiet transformation. The slow movement of 1 meter per day is nearly imperceptible, yet it carries the entire field of ice forward. Every ridge, every crevasse, every shimmering wall is part of this continuous, peaceful flow. The icefall does not resist time. It simply moves with it, maintaining a rhythm that has remained unchanged for centuries. This steady motion becomes a soft metaphor for ease, an unforced, natural unfolding. As you continue along this gentle mental pathway, the blue ice beneath the surface starts to reveal its clarity. In some places, the ice appears almost transparent, holding within it the faint outlines of bubbles or thin layers of snow trapped long ago. These small details rest quietly,
preserved in the cool stillness of the frozen river. They speak of winters long past, of storms and seasons layered one atop another, forming a slow history written entirely in ice. The wind brushing across the icefall is light and rhythmic. Its soft movement creates a subtle, almost musical sound as it touches the sharp edges of the seracs and sweeps across open crevasses. It is not a harsh wind, nor a threatening one. It moves in steady lines, shaping the air into a calming whisper that echoes faintly through the frozen forms. The sound is gentle and repetitive, like a slow lullaby sung by the landscape itself. In this serene reimagining, the features of the icefall transform from dangers into elements of beauty. The crevasses become tranquil pools of shadowed blue, inviting the mind to rest in their depth rather than fear them. The seracs rise like quiet monuments, sculpted into smooth geometric shapes that glow under the delicate light. The shifting ice becomes a peaceful motion, steady and soothing, reflecting the mountain's unhurried heartbeat. Even the size of the icefall, a vast expanse stretching out across the base of Everest, adds to the sense of calm, creating a wide, open space for the imagination to wander gently. The landscape encourages a slower pace. Each step seems to lengthen the breath, inviting a deeper inhale and a softer exhale. The surrounding air feels expansive, as though it eases into every corner of your awareness and brings with it a settling calm. Every detail in the icefall, the faint crunch of snow, the quiet hum of distant wind, the soft shift of blue light, blends into a single rhythmic pattern that mirrors the gentle rise and fall of a relaxed breath. You may imagine standing at the edge of a wide serac, observing the delicate cracks and patterns carved across its surface. These lines appear not as signs of instability, but as intricate threads woven into a tapestry of ice. Shadows gather in the grooves, creating soft contrasts that seem to glow from within. The surface is cool and smooth, shaped by countless days and nights of freezing temperatures and drifting winds. This stillness holds a sense of ancient patience, something that has endured far longer than any one moment or memory. Looking outward, the landscape stretches in flowing layers. Slopes of snow curve downward into soft valleys, while ridges of ice rise up toward the sky in gentle arcs. The entire scene feels as though it is breathing, expanding as the light touches it, contracting gently as the shadows deepen. This slow rhythm invites your own breath to align with it, creating a subtle harmony between body and landscape. The effect is soothing and grounding, drawing you into a deeper state of rest. The colors of the icefall shift gradually as the morning light settles across it. Pale whites blend with soft silver tones, and deeper blues emerge from beneath the surface, creating a quiet symphony of cool hues. These colors blend seamlessly, almost fluidly, creating the impression of movement even where everything appears still. The interplay of light and shadow feels soft and natural, like a slow watercolor spreading across paper. The frozen river's movement, its steady 1 meter per day, feels like a gentle reminder that nothing is entirely motionless. Even in frozen landscapes, flow continues. Even in stillness, there is subtle change. And yet, in this imagined moment, the movement is so slow, so soft, that it creates a sense of deep tranquility rather than uncertainty. You drift with this slow current, feeling yourself guided by the peaceful motion of the ice. As you continue to wander through this calm vision of the icefall,
the world beyond begins to fade slightly. The sounds become fewer, and the air seems to settle even more. The breath grows steady, the body lighter, the mind drifting along the gentle lines of ice, shadow, and light. Every detail blends into quiet harmony, creating a tranquil space where time stretches and thoughts gently dissolve. The Khumbu Icefall in this serene form becomes a place of softness and ease. The shifting ice moves like a slow, silent tide. The crevasses open like peaceful pools of midnight blue. The seracs stand like tall, luminous sculptures, reflecting the morning light. Together they create a landscape that rests calmly beneath the sky, offering steadiness, beauty, and quiet movement. Here, amid this frozen river and its gentle rhythm, you feel yourself drifting deeper into rest. The landscape becomes a soft lullaby. The light, the ice, the quiet motion, all merging into a steady pulse that guides you toward a peaceful stillness. The mountain continues its slow breath, and you follow, step by gentle step, into the calming embrace of the icefall. The quiet climb to Camp 2. The path leading away from the icefall rises in long, gentle slopes, guiding you toward the higher reaches of the mountain in a slow, unhurried ascent. The world grows quieter with each step, as though the air itself is encouraging you to move softly, preserving the stillness that hangs over the high-altitude landscape. The sounds of the valley fade behind you, replaced by the faint hush of wind weaving through snow and ice. Everything becomes quieter, calmer, and more spacious as you begin the quiet climb toward Camp 2. Your footsteps create a steady crunch against the snow, each one forming a soft, rhythmic pattern. Crunch, pause, crunch, pause. The rhythm does not push you forward. It simply accompanies you, like the slow beat of a distant drum softened by layers of snow. The pattern repeats, gentle and predictable, allowing your breath to fall into the same even cadence. The climb becomes less about effort and more about flow. Movement synced with the quiet pulse of the mountain. The air here is thinner than in the lower valley, but it carries an unusual clarity. Each breath feels clean and cool, passing through your lungs with unhurried ease. The altitude, gently introduced, rises to around 6,400 meters as you approach the vicinity of Camp 2. At this height, oxygen levels drop to roughly half of what is available at sea level. Yet nothing in this imagined ascent feels restrictive. The mountain encourages slow breathing, deep and steady, allowing the body to adjust at its own peaceful pace. Inhale, slow and even. Exhale, gentle and complete. The breath becomes a companion, matching the soft rhythm of your steps. The mountain's vastness seems to breathe with you, each glacier, slope, and ridge expanding with inhalation and softening with exhalation. The climb begins to feel like a shared movement, a quiet dialogue between yourself and the great stillness around you. Above, the sky opens into a wide sweep of pale blue, deepening at the edges where the mountains rise sharply into the air. The early light glimmers on the ridges, reflecting off the snow in soft flashes. Nothing is harsh here. Light diffuses across the landscape in calm, gentle strokes. Shadows stretch out lightly following the contours of the slopes. The environment feels timeless, as though it has existed in this peaceful state for ages. path transitions from the shifting layers of the icefall into firmer snow and open, wide basins. These broad spaces create the sensation of walking through a silent amphitheater made of ice and stone. The sound of your steps becomes more pronounced in the quiet, though still soft, absorbed by the snow. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The mountain listens patiently, receiving each footfall with calm acceptance. As the altitude increases, the idea of acclimatization emerges naturally. Climbers in the real world ascend slowly, allowing their bodies time to adapt to the lower oxygen levels. In this gentle journey, acclimatization becomes more of a quiet unfolding, a gradual settling into the new environment. You can imagine your breathing slowing even further, becoming smoother, more aligned with the patient heartbeat of the mountain. At high altitude, the body makes subtle adjustments. The pulse may quicken slightly, the breath may deepen, and the blood may shift in ways that allow oxygen to be carried more efficiently. In this peaceful version of the climb, these changes feel effortless, like the way a river slowly adjusts its path through stone over time. Nothing is rushed. Everything happens in its own steady rhythm, just as the icefall flows at 1 meter per day, and Everest rises by mere millimeters each year. Your awareness settles into this slow rhythm. The mountain encourages it. The landscape around you is shaped by repetition. Layers of snow, layers of ice, layers of years accumulating gently. The climb begins to reflect this layering, each step building upon the last, each breath forming a soft continuity with the breath before it. Crunch. Inhale, crunch. Exhale. A rhythm that draws you deeper into calm. The route to Camp 2 is broad and open, flowing through the western Siam, an enormous glacial valley often described as a vast, silent bowl of snow. In the soft light of your imagined ascent, the Siam feels tranquil, almost dreamlike. The snow here reflects light in wide, smooth patterns, bright but not glaring. The wind moves with a patient ease through the space, creating subtle shifts in the air that swirl gently around you without disrupting the quiet. You walk through this openness, sensing the mountain rising on either side in calm lines. The slopes curve upward like protective walls, their surfaces unbroken except for the faint ripples shaped by drifting snow. Far above, the peaks remain still, watching with the same steady presence that has defined them for millions of years. The quiet deepens. Layers of sound fall away until only breath and footsteps remain. The body softens into the pace, releasing the remnants of effort. Climbing becomes as gentle as walking through a slow-moving dream, where motion and stillness blend together seamlessly. The crisp air touches your skin lightly, bringing a sensation of clarity that moves inward, settling into the mind like fresh snow, settling onto a silent ridge. Here, the idea of breathing like the mountain begins to take shape. Everest breathes in long cycles, glaciers expanding and contracting over decades, winds shifting with the seasons, snows falling and receding year after year. Its breath is not bound to the rapid pace of human life, but to the endless rhythm of nature. In this moment, your breath mirrors that vast, slow cycle. Inhale, a long, gentle rise. Exhale, a slow, quiet release. This rhythm carries you forward, making the ascent feel effortless. Each inhalation fills the space within you with cool mountain air. Each exhalation blends back into the wind that slips between the ridges. Breathing like the mountain brings a sense of steadiness, a grounded calm that aligns you with the landscape's ancient patience. As you continue upward, the gentle crunch of footsteps becomes a soft mantra. The repetition soothes the mind, allowing thoughts to drift like thin clouds across a wide sky. Nothing clings, nothing presses forward. Everything moves with the same slow, natural rhythm of the climb. Occasionally, a slight shift in the snow beneath your feet reminds you of the glacier's quiet movement beneath the surface. Even this movement feels peaceful, part of the same steady flow that shapes the entire mountain. The glacier carries you upward at its own patient pace, adding its rhythm to the rhythm of your breath. The higher you climb, the more the world seems to open. The snowfield widens, stretching in long, symmetrical lines toward the distant slopes leading to Camp 2. Light glides across the surface in soft arcs, creating gentle gradients in the snow. You walk through these gradients as though passing through layers of morning light, each one slightly softer and more calming than the last. The wind, carrying faint whispers from the upper peaks, moves in a smooth, continuous flow. It brushes quietly against your clothing and drifts through loose folds of fabric, creating a soft, repeating sound that blends with your breath. This combination of movement and stillness forms a subtle harmony, guiding your body deeper into relaxation. When Camp 2 finally comes into view, it appears as a cluster of shapes resting calmly along a raised platform of snow. The tents sit in quiet rows, their colors muted in the pale light. They seem peaceful, anchored gently against the vastness of the mountain. Reaching this place, even in imagination, feels like arriving at a point of rest, a place where the pace of the climb slows even further, blending into the mountain's own unbroken silence. Here, at this height, the oxygen is thin, but the air feels expansive. The breath remains soft and steady. The rhythm continues. Inhale. Mountain rises. Exhale. Mountain settles. This quiet climb becomes a lullaby of movement, breath, and stillness. The mountain's ancient patience surrounds you, guiding each step and each breath into deeper calm. And as you settle into the peaceful presence of Camp 2, the rhythm continues, steady, soft, and endless, carrying you toward even deeper rest. The beauty above the clouds. The world begins to open in a new way as you leave the sheltered basin of Camp 2 and step gently toward the higher slopes. The path rises gradually, offering a wide, quiet view of the Himalayas that stretches far into the distance. Here, the landscape expands into a vast panorama, broad, tranquil, and softened by the cool altitude light. Every direction holds a calm geometry of peaks and valleys, carved into shapes that feel both ancient and serene. The air carries a clarity, unlike anything below, giving even the most distant ridges a quiet sharpness while still maintaining a soft, dreamlike quality. You move slowly, not from effort, but because the scenery seems to invite a gentle pace. The horizon unfolds in long, smooth waves of snow-covered mountains. The peaks rise one after another in graceful layers, each one slightly paler, slightly more distant, until they dissolve into the faint haze of the sky. The effect is soothing, like watching ripples spread across a still lake. each one calm, steady, and effortless. The higher you climb, the more the world below begins to fade, leaving only open space and a feeling of quiet uplift. The air at this height grows thinner and lighter, carrying a cool, subtle crispness. As you breathe, the sensation is soft and weightless, as though each inhale passes easily through the body without resistance. The altitude, now rising above 6,700 meters, introduces a delicate sensation of lightness. Not startling, but gentle, like floating just slightly above the ground. The breath becomes smooth and relaxed, extending in long, soft arcs that mirror the vast curves of the mountains around you. Above, the sky stretches in an uninterrupted sweep of pale blue, wide, open, and serene. The color deepens gently toward the edges, creating a subtle gradient that enhances the sense of height. In this clear, thin atmosphere, even the sunlight feels lighter, spreading across the slopes in calm, diffused rays. Shadows flow softly along the contours of the snowfields, shifting in delicate patterns as the sun moves higher in the sky. As you continue, the mountains around you reveal their quiet beauty with even more depth. Their slopes are coated in snow that reflects the light with a soft sheen, creating smooth, sweeping lines that guide your eyes effortlessly from one peak to the next. There is no rush, no need to look anywhere in particular. The entire landscape feels like a single, harmonious shape, expansive, calm, and endlessly patient. At these heights, something almost paradoxical begins to occur. The clouds gather below your feet. They drift across the lower valleys in slow, gentle waves, forming a soft white sea beneath you. Watching them feels like observing an ocean made of air, its surface smooth, shifting, and quiet. Occasionally, the clouds rise slightly, brushing against the lower slopes before settling again into soft layers. The sensation of standing above them creates a feeling of weightlessness, as though the earth has loosened its hold just enough to let you float. This phenomenon is common in the high Himalayas, where altitude lifts you above the level where clouds form. They collect in the warmer air below, building their shapes gradually from moisture carried by gentle winds. From your vantage point, these clouds appear peaceful and distant, moving with a patience that mirrors the mountain's own rhythm. The world beneath them becomes muted and dreamlike, leaving only the soft, silent surface of clouds stretching toward the horizon. Higher still, invisible currents of wind begin to shape the air. These high-altitude winds, part of the great jet stream, flow across the peaks at tremendous speeds, though from your quiet perspective, their presence feels subtle and distant. They glide far above the mountaintops, sometimes reaching speeds of over 160 kilometers per hour, yet their true force remains removed from your calm passage. You sense them only as a faint whisper, a delicate shift in the atmosphere that brushes lightly across the upper slopes. The jet stream plays a significant role in the weather here, influencing conditions in ways that remain quiet but powerful. When it lowers, storms may gather across the peaks, bringing snow and wind that reshape the mountain's surface. When it rises, calm days open like this one. Soft, quiet intervals where the mountain feels still and spacious. You walk through one of these tranquil windows where the air remains steady and the light remains gentle, creating a perfect moment of calm high above the clouds. The weather, always changing in the Himalayas, moves in slow transitions. Clouds may drift upward from the lower valleys, stretch their forms along ridgelines, then recede again into soft bowls of air. Light shifts from cool tones to warm ones as the sun arcs across the sky, tinting the snow in faint shades of gold or silver. These changes occur in small, graceful movements, never abrupt, maintaining the peaceful rhythm that defines the high-altitude world. As you climb, your body continues to feel lighter, as though shedding layers of weight you didn't realize were there. The ground beneath your feet feels firm but gentle. Each step seems to lift you slightly, as if the mountain is helping you move upward with a quiet, supportive presence. You begin to sense a merging between yourself and the landscape, as though you are moving not on the mountain, but within its slow, steady breath. Breathing becomes easier, more fluid, mirroring the expansive sky and the open horizon. The breath rises softly, falls gently, never rushed. It aligns effortlessly with your pace, creating a serene, continuous rhythm. Inhale, the mountains widen. Exhale, the mountains soften. Your steps follow the same pattern. A slow motion forward, then a pause, another slow motion, another pause. The simplicity of the movement becomes soothing in itself. The climb does not feel like effort. It feels like drifting, carried upward by the openness of the world around you. The higher ridges begin to draw nearer, yet they maintain their sense of calm distance. There is no noise here except the faint brush of wind and the gentle sound of snow compressing beneath each step. Even these sounds are muted, blending seamlessly into the stillness. The entire world feels softened, as though the mountain has wrapped everything in a quiet veil of light and air. Clouds continue to shift below, forming new patterns and releasing old ones. Some swirl slightly before settling. Others glide slowly across the valleys, creating shadows that move lightly over the snowfields. Watching them from above creates a sensation of floating, not in the air, but in the space between earth and sky. You feel suspended in this peaceful layer, held gently by the mountain's presence. The sunlight grows more delicate as the day progresses, illuminating the snow in soft gradients. The color of the sky remains pale and serene, deepening slightly near the peaks. The air stays light and cool, offering a sense of clarity that sinks into your awareness. Everything feels spacious and unbounded, as though your thoughts could drift outward and dissolve into the open sky without resistance. You begin to notice how silence at this altitude carries its own soft tone. It is not empty. It is full of subtle vibrations. The hum of wind, the faint shifting of snow, the distant echo of air brushing against rock. These sounds blend together so gently that they seem like extensions of silence rather than interruptions. They soothe the mind, encouraging it to rest, expand, and soften. The journey upward continues without urgency. Each step brings you a little higher. Each breath draws you a little deeper into calm. You feel the mountain's presence beneath your feet, steady and unwavering. You feel the sky's presence above you, open and limitless. Between them, you move with ease, carried by the quiet beauty of this high-altitude world. As the climb completes this section, you find yourself standing in the midst of a vast, serene landscape. Clouds below, mountains rising around, sky stretching endlessly above. The scene holds a dreamlike stillness, inviting you to linger in its quiet embrace. You feel lifted, unbound, and weightless as though the mountain has invited you to float gently within its timeless, peaceful heights. The silent realm of the death zone. As you continue upward, the landscape gradually shifts into an even quieter world. The slopes become broader, the air clearer, and the sky deeper in color. There is a sense of entering a new layer of the mountain, one shaped by thin air, vast silence, and an atmosphere that moves at a slower rhythm than everything below. This region is often called the death zone, a name that carries weight in stories and accounts, but here in this gentle imagining, it feels more like a realm of stillness, a place untouched by hurry, held in the quiet cradle of the sky. The ascent into this high-altitude space is soft and gradual. Nothing announces the boundary. There are no abrupt changes. Instead, the world simply becomes more open. The wind moves in long, smooth lines, unbroken by obstacles. The light grows calmer, spreading evenly across the snow, creating a landscape where every surface appears softened by the thin, delicate air. You move into this realm step by step, carried by the steady rhythm that has followed you throughout the climb. At elevations above 8,000 meters, the air contains roughly 1/3 of the oxygen available at sea level. Yet in this dreamlike ascent, the sensation is gentle, distant, more of an observation than something felt in the body. You breathe with the same slow ease as before. Inhale, pause, exhale, each breath merging with the vast quiet that surrounds you. The idea of thin air becomes a soft, spacious concept rather than an obstacle. It is simply part of the mountain's upper world, part of the environment that has shaped these heights for millions of years. The effects of low oxygen, fatigue, slower movement, the body's difficulty repairing itself, are introduced here as calm facts, presented without urgency. In the true high-altitude world, the body cannot regenerate cells efficiently in this zone. Healing pauses, processes slow, and rest becomes more essential. In this gentle narrative, these facts drift lightly through your awareness, like small clouds passing across a wide sky. They are neither warnings nor causes for concern. They simply reflect the unique nature of the environment you are imagining. Everything in this realm moves slowly. The weather shifts gradually, the wind changes direction without hurry, and the snow settles in calm, even layers. The mountain's surface appears untouched by time, as though the usual flow of hours and days has thinned along with the air. This stillness creates a serene backdrop for each step you take. With each movement, the world seems to hold its breath for a moment before exhaling softly again. The terrain here is simple and open. Gentle ridges rise and fall in smooth lines, guiding you naturally along the path. The snow is firm beneath your feet, creating a soft, familiar crunch with each step, steady, rhythmic, and soothing. This sound becomes slower, quieter, more spaced out, guiding your thoughts into a similar rhythm. You find yourself moving not through difficulty, but through calm clarity, drifting through an environment where silence is the dominant presence. Above you, the sky expands into an endless field of deep blue. The color grows darker as you rise, shifting subtly toward a shade that hints at the vastness of space. The sunlight here is gentle yet crisp, illuminating the snow with a quiet brilliance that does not overwhelm the eyes. Shadows stretch long and soft along the slopes, their edges feathered by the thin air. The contrast between light and shadow feels peaceful, as if the mountain is painted in steady, balanced strokes. The stillness of the death zone surrounds you completely. Sounds are muted, softened by the lack of dense air to carry them. Even your breath seems quieter, blending into the silence with almost no disturbance. There is an unusual clarity in this quiet, a sense that the world has opened into a pure, undisturbed expanse. Thoughts settle naturally, movements slow into unbroken lines. The mind drifts into a gentler pace, encouraged by the soft emptiness that fills the high-altitude sky. Although the environment is harsh in reality, here it feels tender, spacious, and soothing. The thin air becomes a symbol of openness rather than difficulty. The body's slower processes become a reminder to rest deeply, to move with care, to allow the rhythm of the mountain to guide you rather than pushing forward on your own. The idea that the body cannot repair itself in this zone takes on a different tone. It becomes an invitation to pause, to float, to let everything unwind into stillness. As you walk, the world below seems distant and clouded in soft white layers. Valleys lie far beneath the cloud cover, hidden from view, creating the impression that you are walking not on Earth, but in a realm suspended between Earth and sky. The height does not feel intimidating. It feels serene, as though the mountain is offering a quiet vantage point from which to observe the world without attachment or urgency. Wind brushes gently across your clothing, but even this movement feels light and airy. It holds no aggression, only a quiet persistence that matches the mountain's slow rhythm. The air temperature is cold, but not sharply so, more like a cool presence that encourages stillness. You may imagine the wind moving in slow patterns, circling the upper ridges, sweeping softly across wide slopes, before continuing on its long journey around the mountain. Facts drift into the calm landscape like spoken lines carried by wind. The notion that the human body slows its healing process here feels distant, almost abstract. The knowledge that oxygen levels are 1/3 normal settles gently at the edge of your awareness, soft and quiet. These truths do not disrupt the peacefulness of your climb. They become part of it, woven seamlessly into the landscape of stillness. Each step seems to grow lighter, as though gravity's pull softens slightly with altitude. The ground beneath you feels steady, firm, and supportive. The snow carries you gently, giving way just enough to absorb the impact of your steps while maintaining a solid base. The repetition of movement begins to feel meditative. Step, pause, breath, step, pause, breath. The body follows the rhythm without effort, guided by the slow pulse of the mountain. Your mind begins to drift even more deeply into this quiet space. Thoughts stretch out, becoming long and slow, like the shadows on the snow. The sense of time fades. Minutes feel wider, softer, more open. The mountain's silence becomes your silence. Its patience becomes your patience. Its breath becomes your breath. There is something timeless about being in this imagined death zone. The mountain has existed in this state for millions of years, shaped by the rising of the Earth's crust and the shifting of continents. It has experienced uncountable storms, seasons, and cycles of weather, all while remaining still in its upper, quiet reaches. Standing here, you become part of that stillness, part of a world where movement is minimal and presence is everything. You may notice the soft gleam of ice shimmering under the sunlight, reflecting the sky in pale hues. The snow glows faintly, holding the light in a delicate, crystalline layer, The air above the slopes vibrates almost imperceptibly with the gentle movement of wind. Everything feels quiet, balanced, and suspended in calm. As you settle into this upper world, your breathing slows naturally. The mountain encourages longer pauses between breaths, gentle rises and falls, soft inhalations followed by quiet releases. The mind follows this rhythm, sinking deeper into peace with each cycle. This is the essence of the quiet realm, the place where even harsh conditions become soft in the absence of fear, where silence becomes a blanket, and where stillness draws you into the deepest layers of rest. When you pause to look around, the panorama is simple yet vast. Snow-covered ridges extend into the distance, curving in gentle arcs. The sky above feels infinite. The world below is hidden in cloud. You stand in a place where earth meets sky, where silence meets breath, where movement meets stillness. Here in the soft realm of the death zone, everything slows, everything quiets, everything opens into calm. The mountain holds you gently within its high, serene embrace, guiding you toward an even deeper state of rest, breath by breath, moment by moment, until you become part of the stillness that defines this silent world above the clouds. Approaching the summit at sunrise, the quietness of the upper mountain deepens as the night slowly begins to fade. You move steadily through the thin pre-dawn air, each step light, each breath soft, guided by the same calm rhythm that has carried you all this way. High above, the sky begins to loosen its darkness. A faint glow appears along the horizon, subtle and tender, a quiet signal that the world is preparing to welcome a new day. The color of the sky shifts gently, almost imperceptibly at first. Deep indigo gives way to muted violet, spreading upward in slow, delicate waves. The darkness thins, not in a rush, but in a slow release, like a long exhale drifting across the vast expanse of the Himalayas. This early light brushes the edges of distant peaks, outlining them in soft strokes of purple and blue. The air holds a sense of stillness, as though everything is pausing to watch the slow unfurling of dawn. Your steps toward the summit continue with the same soft patience. The snow compresses beneath your feet in steady, light rhythms. Step, pause, step, pause. Nothing interrupts the calm. The ascent feels gentle, supported by the mountain's quiet strength. The slope rises gradually, leading you upward into a sky that grows lighter with each passing minute. The air here is crisp and delicate. At nearly 8,800 meters, the oxygen level is low, yet in this serene imagining, the breath flows with unhurried ease. The temperature is cold, often dropping below -30 degrees Celsius, but the cold feels distant, softened by the calm atmosphere of the moment. Winds at the summit can reach extreme speeds, sometimes over 160 kilometers per hour when the jet stream dips low. But on mornings like this one, quiet, clear, and gentle, the winds drift softly around the peak, creating only the faintest whisper against the snow. As the colors of dawn deepen, the sky begins to glow with quiet gold. Violet softens into rose and rose into a pale, warm shimmer that slowly spreads across the horizon. This gradual illumination touches the highest ridges first. Snowfields, moments before dim and colorless, begin to reflect faint hues of pink and amber. The mountain appears peaceful and vast, bathed in early light that seems to rise from within the earth itself. You continue your gentle approach as the summit grows nearer. The final ridgeline stretches out beneath your feet, narrow but calm, rising in a long, slow curve that leads upward into the brightening sky. There is no rush, no sense of urgency. The mountain welcomes slow movement, steady breath, and quiet presence. Each step feels like a small part of the morning's unfolding, synchronized with the soft progression of light. In the real world, only a few hundred people reach the summit each year, some seasons bringing more, some fewer, depending on weather, preparation, and timing. But here, in this quiet journey of imagination, numbers and challenges dissolve into stillness. The fact remains simply as a gentle reminder of the mountain's vastness and rarity. Standing here, approaching the highest point on earth, feels calm and intimate rather than crowded or intense. The horizon brightens further. Gold deepens into a soft, radiant glow. Light spills across the surrounding peaks, illuminating them one by one. Everest's shadow stretches far into the atmosphere behind you, cast across the sky in a shape that only the tallest mountain in the world can create. This immense shadow softens your awareness of height, making the world feel expansive and harmonious, as though earth and sky are blending in a single slow movement. As you reach the final steps toward the top, the air feels almost weightless. The world below lies hidden beneath a blanket of clouds, forming a smooth white sea stretching to the horizon. Peaks rise from this sea like islands, quiet, distant, glowing in the early light. You feel as though you are floating between two worlds, the solid earth far below and the open sky spreading endlessly above. And then, with one last gentle step, you arrive. The summit of Everest feels peaceful, small, still, and open to the sky. The wind moves softly around you, carrying the crisp scent of snow and light. The world beneath you remains silent, wrapped in morning clouds. The peaks around you glow with the first strong rays of sun. The entire landscape unfolds in slow, radiant beauty. The sun rises fully now, lifting above the horizon in a calm, golden arc. The light expands across the sky, filling it with warm tones that reflect off the snow in soft brilliance. The pre-dawn darkness is gone, replaced by a serene, luminous morning. You stand within this transition, surrounded by gentle light, feeling the quiet warmth of a world awakening at its highest point. There is no rush, no need to speak, no need to do anything at all. You simply stand at the top of the world, allowing the scene to unfold around you. The sense of height feels peaceful, almost comforting. The breath remains slow. The body remains light. The mind rests in the wide, open stillness of the summit. Facts drift softly into this moment, settling like snowflakes. Everest, at 8,848.86 meters, the highest place a person can stand. Temperatures that can drop low, winds that can grow fierce, yet mornings like this arrive with calm, gentle clarity. Only a small number of climbers reach this point each year, making this quiet peak a place where the world feels distant and serene. You take in the panorama, the Himalayas stretching in every direction, rooftops of the earth rising in vast, elegant lines. The light continues to brighten the landscape, revealing textures of snow, ice, and stone. The peaks cast long shadows across the clouds below, creating patterns that shift softly with the sun's ascent. This moment feels timeless. The world holds still, the breath moves slowly, the heart rests deeply. As the sun climbs higher, a soft warmth begins to touch the air. The sky brightens into a gentle blue. The clouds roll softly beneath you, their surface rippling with golden reflections. You remain above them, steady and calm, as if standing in the quiet center of the morning's awakening. Here, at the highest point on earth, peace replaces awe, calm replaces intensity, stillness replaces struggle. The mountain holds you lightly, and the sky opens around you with quiet acceptance. You simply breathe, and the world expands softly beneath your feet. A gentle descent into dreams. The summit remains quiet behind you as you begin the slow, gentle descent. There is no hurry to leave, no urgency in your steps. The morning light spreads softly across the snow, guiding your path with unbroken calm. Each footstep presses lightly into the surface, forming small, smooth impressions that blend effortlessly into the mountain's contours. Moving downward feels almost like drifting. Gravity offers a subtle support, easing each step, carrying you with a soft and natural pull. The world opens in wide, peaceful layers, the sky above, the horizon ahead, the cloud-covered valleys far below. Everything moves in a slow, unhurried rhythm, inviting your breath to follow the same quiet pace. Inhale, gentle rise. Exhale, long, easy release. As you descend from the highest point on earth, the air warms slightly, brushing your skin with a delicate softness. The sunlight rests calmly on your shoulders, and the wind moves in smooth lines, circling the ridges with a light touch. There is nothing sharp in its presence, only a faint whisper, steady and constant, as if the mountain is humming a low, soothing note. Clouds begin to draw closer as you step downward. They rise softly from the valleys below, gathering around the slopes like a slow-moving tide. Their edges are pale and calm, blending seamlessly into the morning air. As they lift, they wrap gently around you, creating a soft, muffled world where every sound becomes distant and quiet. The light grows diffused, spreading in smooth, silvery tones that feel tender and dreamlike. With each step, the ground seems to absorb tension from your body. The muscles release, the breath sinks deeper into a state of ease. The world narrows into soft shapes and gentle colors, encouraging your mind to drift, to loosen, to float more freely. The mountain, steady and ancient, seems to breathe with you, slow, deep, and quiet. Your heartbeat begins to settle into the mountain's rhythm, a calm, unhurried pattern that moves like a slow wave across your chest. It beats softly, without strain, following the steady pulse of the vast landscape around you. This natural synchrony brings a sense of grounding, as though the mountain is anchoring you with its deep, enduring presence. The path ahead remains wide and welcoming, curving downward in smooth arcs. There is no difficulty here, only the soothing repetition of movement and breath. Each step becomes lighter, each moment becomes softer. You feel the gentle support of snow beneath your feet, the cool touch of air against your face, the warm brightness of sun filtering through the clouds. The mountain offers a quiet reassurance, an unspoken message that you are held, supported, and safe within its vast, peaceful realm. There is no need to think, no need to effort. The descent happens naturally, guided by gravity, by ease, by the soft flow of the world around you. Everything that felt high, sharp, or formidable at the summit now softens into comfort. The ridge lines blur slightly, their shapes rounded by the blanket of cloud. The bright edges of snow dissolve into gentle gradients. Even the sky becomes a softer shade, blending into the horizon in a calm transition of light. You begin to feel warmth rising from within, subtle, not intense, the kind of warmth that accompanies rest, quietness, and release. It moves through the chest, through the shoulders, down along the arms, through the spine. A slow, spreading warmth that encourages the body to let go a little more with each breath. Inhale, warm expansion. Exhale, soft surrender. As clouds thicken around you, the world becomes muted and serene, like standing inside a quiet dream. The diffuse light casts no shadows. Every movement feels slow and effortless. The silence deepens into something full and comforting, a silence that envelops you like a soft blanket. The path beneath your feet grows gentler still, its slope smoothing out into long, easy stretches. Thoughts begin to drift apart, spreading out like thin mist in the air. They no longer cling or demand attention. They simply float, dissolve, and fade into the soft white around you. The mind follows the body into quiet submission, relaxing into the gentle descent with complete ease. You sense the mountain's presence not as something towering, but as something embracing. Its vastness becomes a space of deep rest, a place where time slows, where the world narrows to breath, warmth, and softness. The air feels tender. The light feels soothing. The ground feels forgiving. Your heartbeat settles further, easing into a tranquil, steady rhythm, slow, stable, peaceful. It becomes the anchor of this descent, a soft pulse echoing the mountain's timeless stillness. Every beat carries reassurance. Every pause carries space. You feel supported, calm, and deeply grounded. As the clouds close around you like a cocoon, the distinction between earth and sky begins to blur. You feel suspended within softness, held gently in a pocket of light and air. This is the threshold where mountain meets dream, where waking presence meets quiet rest. You move through it, effortlessly, carried by calm momentum. The descent continues, not toward urgency, but toward comfort, toward a deeper, quieter space where the mind can settle completely. The mountain guides you with its unwavering steadiness, encouraging every part of you to release, to soften, to drift. The world becomes lighter. Your body becomes heavier. Your breath becomes longer. Everything moves toward rest. And as the clouds draw close and the mountain's embrace deepens, you find yourself gently drifting, not down a slope now, but inward, into a space of warmth, safety, and quiet surrender. A gentle descent, a peaceful release, a soft welcome into dreams. Final sleep induction. The clouds around you soften into pale silver, settling in gentle layers as you continue drifting through the quiet of your descent. The mountain's embrace remains warm and steady, guiding you with the same calm presence that has carried you from summit to sky, from sky to cloud, and now, from cloud to rest. Nothing pulls you forward now. Nothing asks for effort. Everything simply invites you to settle a little more, and then a little more again. The slope beneath your feet eases into a smooth, open space, broad, quiet, welcoming. As you pause here, the clouds draw back just enough to reveal the soft glow of evening spreading across the ridge lines. The sky slowly deepens into blue, then deeper still, until the first stars appear like gentle sparks scattered across an endless canvas. One star, then another, and then 1,000 more. They bloom across the sky in slow, shimmering clusters, each one glowing with a calm that settles easily into your breath. You feel the mountain no longer as a towering shape beneath you, but as a soft foundation, a steady cradle of snow and stone supporting your rest. You imagine lying down here on snow that is warm, not cold, soft, not sharp, shaped perfectly to hold the weight of your body. The surface gives gently beneath you, like a quiet breath beneath your back. The air settles around you in slow currents. The sky opens above you, peaceful and infinite. The world becomes wonderfully simple. Stillness, softness, a sky full of stars, and you resting quietly in the heart of it all. Your breath follows the pace of the mountain now, unhurried, spacious, steady. Every inhale gathers calm. Every exhale releases the day. You are safe here. You are warm here. You are allowed to rest. Let these words drift lightly through you, like snowflakes settling on soft ground. A gentle warmth begins to spread across your chest, moving outward in slow waves. Your shoulders soften, your arms loosen, your legs grow heavy, supported by the quietness beneath you. Your face relaxes, every line smoothing into stillness. Nothing to hold, nothing to carry. Only rest. Above you, the stars form a slow spinning tapestry, constellations drifting in long, graceful arcs. They move at the pace of dreams, each tiny point of light humming with quiet reassurance. Their glow blends with the thin mountain air, creating a soft halo around the horizon. You watch them from a place of complete ease, as though your body is sinking deeper into the snow, deeper into the quiet, deeper into the comfort waiting beneath every breath. And the affirmations come again, even softer now, almost a whisper carried by the wind. You are held. You are supported. You are allowed to drift. You are allowed to sleep. The world continues to dim in gentle shades. Colors fade into soft blues and grays. The air grows tender, embracing you like a slow, peaceful exhale. Your heartbeat settles deeper still, matching the calm pulse of the mountain. Everything inside you begins to loosen, to dissolve, to float. You feel the night folding around you, warm, quiet, familiar, until thoughts lose their edges and the mind becomes a wide, open space, a place where silence feels like music, a place where stillness feels like home. Your breath becomes slower and slower, each cycle drawing you further into the gentle currents of sleep. No effort, no resistance, only drifting, only softness. Let the mountain cradle you. Let the clouds wrap around you. Let the stars watch over you with their endless, peaceful glow. There is nothing more to do. No steps to climb, no paths to follow. You have reached the quietest place the journey can offer, the space where the mountain's calm becomes your calm, and the night's stillness becomes your own. Rest here, sink here, dream here. Let your breath fall into silence. Let your thoughts fade into light. Let your body melt into the soft snow beneath you. And now, as sleep rises around you like a gentle tide, as your awareness drifts farther into warmth, as your dreams begin to open, there is only one last whisper, soft enough to touch you without waking, light enough to carry you into the deepest layers of rest. And now, let Everest watch over your dreams.